Well, good morning, everyone. Are we having fun?
Yes.
No. Are we having fun?
Yes.
That's more like the energy that Janine was talking about earlier. Wow. I mean, you know, we've heard from the city minister so far a smorgasbord of new policy initiatives for FinTech. Let's see how our panel's feeling about all of that, and feeling also about whether or not we're building resilience, productivity, competitiveness in our financial sector. So as we did in the previous panel, I'm going to get them all to introduce themselves along the way and really talk about the aggressive or friendly WhatsApp that they've been sending the minister lately. Jaidev, can we start with you? Introduce yourself, and everybody knows who you are anyway, but it's worth doing, and just give us a sense of what's top of mind for you right now on this theme.
Hi, I'm Jaidev, CEO of Zopa, which is a digital bank in the UK. When it talk about policy, I think we've seen a number of good things that have happened over the last year, and in particularly a focus on helping some of players like us really scale up and start challenging the incumbents. And I think in that sense, the scale up unit, the setup of that has been a positive move. Movements that have happened on how much capital growing bank needs to hold, particularly MREL. I know it's a bit technical, but and changes in IRB, all are, I think, good positive movements on there. I think the broader conversation is really a question of, if you want to really actually grasp the nettle, it's a question of what is the balance of risk and growth that we need. And I still continue to believe that we are more risk averse, and in that sense, are willing to trade off growth, and willing to trade off prosperity, and willing to trade off development for kind of protecting the status quo. And I think it's the risk appetite conversation which we're starting to have, but I think needs to be really taken head on, and particularly in the world of financial services, where entirely understandably regulators are here to make sure things are safe, versus we are here to make sure things change. There is an inherent conflict there, and I do feel there is a bit more shift that needs to happen there.
Well, maybe one not just for the minister, but also for Chris Woolard's new burgeoning in-tray in terms of, are we getting that balance right? And huge congratulations to Chris. It's just fantastic news. Louise, what's top of mind for you?
Well, let me introduce myself first. I'm Louise Hill, founder of GoHenry, and I'm actually going to shift slightly. So a policy decision, or a decision that was taken by the government in November last year. We have been lobbying for 5 years to persuade the government to make financial education a mandatory part of the school curriculum, starting at primary school age, because we know that's when the really impactful shifts in attitude and behaviours start to happen. And in November last year, they announced that it will be put into, it will be made a mandatory part of the school curriculums, starting with primary school, as of September 2028. And you might think, well, how does that impact financial services, or how does that impact society, the UK economy? Our research, we've commissioned lots of independent research over the 15 years I've been doing it, 14 years live in the UK. Amazingly, I'm going to throw stats at you, 46%, people who have received financial education as a child are 46% more likely to launch their own business. That sounds like well, that's nice. But when you actually extrapolate that out, what does it mean? It means an additional 125,000 new jobs in the UK every year, which would bring our unemployment rates down by about 8%. And it means £7 billion extra into the UK economy every year. So in terms of growth, massive impact. And even more importantly, massive impact on people's life outcomes. And I think that's why these policy decisions are so impactful.
Okay, so we're building, and again, I'm going to get you all to think about what we still need to see, but another policy when Justin, I know you're all over the open banking conversation. We heard more about that this morning, more about the transparency conversation, empowerment, resilience, inclusion. Where are we right now? And again, introduce yourself and your business.
Yeah, thanks, Iain. Great to be here. Justin Basini, I'm the CEO and founder of the ClearScore Group. So we're a global financial marketplaces business operating in 5 markets, UK, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. 26 million users, 220 financial partners. So I'm lucky because I get to see sort of the international context as well, operating in 5 markets. And, we do have a lot to be thankful for here in the sense of we're having the right conversations. And I think we are getting support from the regulators, we are getting support from the government. It just needs to move more quickly. And I think Jaidev's framing is exactly right. It is a balance of risk and reward. And I think we, at the moment, the government, investors, there's too much risk off rather than risk on. And so I think what needs to happen is that there needs to be much more thinking around how you move quickly to implement some of the ideas. So if we take, what Louise was talking about, which is a fantastic thing, and I've been lobbying for that for a long time. It's now in curriculum development. That will take a long time, right? It's then how is it going to be rolled out into the schools, etc. And governments have tried this in the past, as you and I both know, and it's a great headline, but it actually doesn't affect anybody. And so I think across all of the things that we've talked about today, financial education, stable coins, Mansion House, all of these things, there's a intent, but that intent needs to turn to execution now, and we really need to see a huge effort to take more risk and to get things done. Now, if we look at open banking, that is a fantastic example of that, okay? So, as you all know, open banking, championed after the financial crisis by the Competition and Markets Authority as a pro-competitive intervention. So what are we talking about, 15 years ago now? UK was massively a leader in the world. The whole world looked at it. And significant progress. But if we look at where it stands today, you've got 16 million people who have used it out of an adult population of 50, 55 million. You have a wide range of sort of rules and regulations being set, but are taking years and years and years to set. I think there's a panel on at the moment around the next wave of OBIE and what is it going to be, and there's announcements this morning, etc. Really, we all need to move more quickly, I think. That will unlock capital. That will unlock more of the risk-taking. And I think that's where open banking is, and it's where a lot of the initiatives which we're talking about today are. We need to move faster with more confidence. We're a fantastic nation. We have a huge amount of advantages. We need to feel confident in that and just move more quickly. That will attract capital, and that will make some of these headline ideas actually a reality.
Ylva, we heard earlier about, FinTech is not just the future, it's more than the present. In fact, it's 68% of the present in terms of SME lending. Very important for you. Tell us more about your business and indeed just picking up on where we've been so far about how we might be able to move faster in terms of both policy and implementation.
Well, thank you. My name is Ylva Oertengren. I am COO and co-founder of Simply. We're an SME lender. So I'm sort of listening to what my panelist colleagues are sort of talking about, and I could almost amalgamate all of that into the importance when it comes to, in practical terms, lend to SMEs. So SMEs, it is really a crucial element for us to lend to SMEs, because SMEs, what happens when you do? Jobs are created, apprenticeships are created, innovation is driven forward, productivity is invested in. So all of those things, and particularly in our country, in local communities all around the sort of different regions. And so to be able to do that, we have seen over the past decades how traditional financial services have failed in keeping up with their demand and needs, and therefore there's been a funding gap building up there. The solution to that has come through FinTech. So what we have done, and others have done, is build specialized platforms to really target the SME lending space. And we've been able to do that, not just by what we have built as in our own platform, but utilizing a lot of the solutions that have been developed by the innovators in this room. So the ecosystem of FinTech as a whole is crucial to unlock lending to SMEs, which hold the key to growth of this economy. And there's so many things that can be added to that, but one thing that I would like to sort of stress is what Louise was talking about, the key of financial education. Because, I mean, I've started a business. I know it's difficult. There are many things I don't know, and I had to learn along the way. And I know that that is the case for all who set out to do business. If we can help them with awareness around financial services, then that drives not just the growth, enables the creation of these companies, but also entrepreneurship is a great key to unlock social mobility in our country as well. So that local community, I mean, we've lent over 2.1 billion into the economy. 80% of that has been outside the London southeast region. So it is a true injection of innovation, growth, productivity, and job creation across the country. And that propels that shared prosperity of this country.
Thank you, Christoph. Yeah, no, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Last but certainly not least, I know you've been thinking about, something that Andy Holding, I know, talked about at the start of the year, about where business generally, but thinking about FinTech, can lead rather than just do the lobbying. Again, tell us a bit about your business and where you are right now, but also, where do you think the sector, I know you think about this a lot, can lead rather than just lobby?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to Janine and the entire team for all the support over all of the years that we have received from you. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to come here to Guildhall every year, my favorite of the year. So I started iwoca 15 years ago, started because I saw the problem that SMEs found it difficult to access financing and wanted to solve that problem. Today, we are approving a small business every 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Really kind of made a lot of progress on that journey. We added about 15 billion in GDP over the time that I run the company. Last year we created, or helped to create, some 50,000 jobs. So it's really great to see that we could have had this impact over the years. And now, to answer your question, leading by action, I'm really excited about now starting to solve more problems for SMEs. We launched an SME M&A platform to help businesses sell their businesses and others to buy and expand. A really broken system and big problem. We're moving into insurances, and we've also launched a credit health score for SMEs, which is another big problem that is unsolved in the market. So it's really, rather than sort of lobbying, it's really about sort of thinking about what are the problems that SMEs face and then help them solve them. I'm incredibly excited about all of the opportunities we have with AI. It just enables us to move much faster and go much further than we could have otherwise. The best analogy that I can give is, imagine kind of some weird technology would come up which would enable us to build houses 3 times faster. We wouldn't have a housing shortage anymore in the UK, something that every prime minister has been trying to solve for many, many years. And I think there's so many problems that need solving. It's just we'll go about those problems much faster than we can do otherwise. So I think the next few years will be really exciting in the UK to create economic growth. We have lots of sort of the right foundations to do that. And we'll be leading by action.
Right, well, again, to get everybody to pick up on that, leading by action, and how do we go faster I'm really keen to get everybody to pick up on this, because, the debate for much of the last decade has been sector pushing ahead, regulator maybe a bit more cautious. Are we getting into a better alignment now, and some long-term thinking that can really embed those opportunities. Jaidev, yeah.
I would say yes, things are much better than probably they were 7, 8 years ago for sure. But going back to I think what Christoph said, we are right now at a moment of kind of great opportunity, particularly when it comes to AI. I think as a sector, the success we've had till date has been because we have been early adopters of technology, and we've used that technology to solve real consumer problems. And I think AI probably represents the biggest opportunity we've had since the invention of the mobile phone to really make our customers' life easier, quicker, and provide them more value with financial services. So I'm very excited with what the opportunity that lies ahead with this. I'm excited with some of the regulatory change that I kind of mentioned, which might help some of this easier. I think it is critical that we could, from a regulatory framework, when we approach and think about AI, we continue to do that with an outcomes-based approach. So consumer duty, operational resilience can be the main things, rather than focusing on regulating models or regulating methods. Let's make sure that as a sector, we and the incumbents continue to deliver good customer outcomes and create resilient things. And if we are thus allowed to be, while applying that standard to us, allowed to be free to innovate, allowed to actually accelerate the innovation, then I think there's a great opportunity in front of us.
Yeah, let's go Louise first, and then I'll come to you, Justin. Yep.
Thank you. I think Jaidev's absolutely right. Sorry, frog in my throat. You know, in the last, I was going to say 5 years, I think the communication channels between industry, FinTech in particular, the regulator and government have really opened up. And I think that has made a massive difference. Of course, we can always complain about specifics where we'd like things to move faster or be better, or we don't like a specific rule. But having those channels open, I think everybody intellectually knows that if all parts of the infrastructure come together, we can be much, much more successful, we can move much more quickly, and we can be much more impactful.
Justin?
Yeah, just to give you an example of moving faster, and I think using the assets that are in, I think uniquely in the UK. So we announced just after Easter a new protocol called the Agentic Credit Broking Protocol. And what that does is it uses the convening power of all of the experts in the UK to try and create the rules of the game so that AI assistants can actually execute a user's intent to get a credit card or a personal loan in a compliant manner through their favoured assistant. At the moment, if you try and attempt that, it gets thrown over most often to third parties. And obviously users want to interact and execute their intent there. Now, that's not just a ClearScore thing. That is an attempt for the UK to own and to lead the world in that thinking around how that sphere is going to develop over the next years as AI assistants become more and more popular. And I think that is a great example of where using all of the expertise in the UK, lending, regulation, broking, data provision, all of that can actually really harness those to actually create a competitive advantage for the UK and thought leadership. That will unlock investment, that will unlock attention from the big AI companies. And so I think there's lots of things that we can do like that, and some we are doing.
Ylva, how do we make sure, it's a sea of positivity this morning on this panel, but how do we make sure we maintain that alignment between, again, an industry forging ahead, innovating, doing amazing things, doing 68% of SME lending, and where regulators and policymakers want to be?
Today is a great example of how you create that alignment, and I think obviously Janine and the team at Innovate obviously facilitate that to such a great extent. I have no doubt that we have good channels of communication to create that alignment. I want to add one other element to it, because progress, and in anywhere, but maybe particularly in this part of the world, is driven not just by sitting back and waiting for policy to come in. It is also very much driven by us, by people in this room who connect and work together. And I think there are some great examples of that, but I do think they're only scratching the surface. So let me explain a little bit, an example around that. Obviously, we have built a niche origination channel for deploying capital into the SME space. And we put a lot of effort and resource to that, and that works really well. That is open for channeling additional capital into that segment. That can grow exponentially. We have recently announced one partnership, which we've recently concluded with NatWest, who are now channeling origination through us. So basically, we originate for them. We build those bridges for them to come back into that SME segment. We work with iwoca, we work with a lot of people in this room, but I think that ecosystem, connecting the dots between the different sort of positive opportunity that we have all created, I think that will again accelerate it. Plus, obviously, the aggressive WhatsApp every now and then.
No, an aggressive WhatsApp, never, yeah. Christoph, we've got about a minute left. Maintaining momentum, how do we maintain momentum?
I think specifically from a regulator perspective, I think they have to be more reactive rather than proactive, because it's just moving so fast and people are building so many things. It's just impossible to regulate this all proactively in advance. And I think there is sort of the sense of we need to take a risk now to be really world leading and ahead. And if we don't, then others will. And I think currently we have all the cards in our hands. And I think a more reactive regulation will work much better in such a fast-paced environment than a very proactive one. That's, of course, sort of a challenge for the regulators, but in the end, I think otherwise we'll be falling behind.
Well, we've got the regulators in the room. We've got our new champion somewhere. I don't know if he's still in the room. They're all hearing it. Policymakers are hearing it. You're hearing it. It's not just for the folks on this stage, but for everybody in this room, I think, to support maintaining that momentum and getting the balance right. I hope you're feeling the energy's still moving.